Hey, what's up, everybody? Talking point of the day, back with Ryan Bresnahan. Today, I want to talk about this saying that I love, which is you were the sum of the five people, or you were the sum of the five friends, or whoever that you spend the most time with in your life. Who here has heard something that is similar to that? So, birds of a feather flock together. Your vibe attracts your tribe. You're the sum of the five people. I've heard that being said in many different ways, like you are who you hang around with, even like percentage things. It's crazy, but it's awesome. So if you've heard this, there's a reason why I think it's extremely important. First, I want to talk about what I've used that for in my life, how I've interpreted that, how I've implemented it in my life, and then number two, what I think why it's important. So why is it important to us, and then how can it become beneficial, and why you should at least think about it, be cognizant of it, educate yourself on it, and then you make the decision. Because at the end of the day, any decision that we make, who we hang out with, who we don't, who we talk to, what we read, what we don't read, what we listen to, what we do with our bodies, what we eat, is up to us, right? So I'd like to talk about how it's affected me, and then how it could be very extremely important to all of us to implement in our lives, and why we should and why we have that choice. Point one, how have I implemented it in my life? Well, I've heard this for a long time. I don't remember what year, I don't remember how far back. Let's just say 6, 7, 8 years ago. So I'm 22 now. So maybe hearing this around like 14, 15. Definitely by like 15, I had probably heard it. I am extremely blessed, and I was lucky enough to have gone to a personal development seminar with my dad. I believe I was in 8th grade, so meaning 13/14, right before freshman year. And yeah, I remember that. And even though back then it was more so like, yeah, field trip, day out of school. I remember he pulled me out of school, which was awesome. This is actually something I want to do, and I'm looking forward to do, excited to do with my kids in the future, because one day impacted my life so much, and I'm realizing it more and more now, 8 years later, which is pretty wild. And even saying that 8 years does not seem like a long time, but for me, relatively, that's a big chunk of my life, which is awesome. So that's awesome. I love it. He took me out of school and went to this seminar in Dallas. I don't remember what it was called. I remember Tony Romo was there, a Dallas Cowboys quarterback, and then many different guys who were successful in different areas of business. I remember actually what I grabbed from it back then. Imagine a 14-year-old Ryan sitting down in a chair. You're hearing a guy speak about selling things on eBay. eBay was just like getting big then. It was actually in the early stages. It had been around, but it was in the early stages of exploding. If you remember, this is done in 2020, so like 2014, 2015, at least from my perspective, it exploded as shoe sales were going up. People were selling mugs on there, people were selling pictures, and it really became trendy to have a business out of it, rather than I'm just gonna sell like a collectible or whatever, which is kind of what it used to be. People were actually buying, arbitraging, buying, reselling, selling, and making a good living on it. So this guy spoke about it during the conference, and I think he was just talking about overall how to make and sell, and giving examples of people that had made a good amount of financial success through via eBay. And for me, I loved being on the computer, I loved being online, so I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm all over this. And that's what I did. I started implementing kind of what he was talking about. I made an account, didn't have my own account, I was 14, still did everything on my parents' accounts. And I remember I sold my Beats headphones. This is a funny story. I sold my Beats headphones, the Solos, and I listed them on there. And actually, a good thing I've realized about myself. Imagine a 14-year-old Ryan going home, and he's oh man, I want to sell something. I don't use these headphones. I'm going to sell them, list them. I created my account in 5 minutes, got my email up. Beats headphones, this, list them. Yeah, click, yes, sure, yeah, okay, buy, next. I list them. I don't remember if I sold them or not. Maybe, I don't know, that's so long ago. What I do remember though is that I did everything so fast, I actually missed a step. I did it one step wrong, and for some reason I got banned from eBay, which is a funny story. I was telling someone that story today, and I rushed through it, and I've realized it's kind of tangent. I've realized in the past, Ryan has had a tendency to rush through things when I get excited, when he wants to just get something done, especially like signing up, or like if there's a big reward on the other side. It's like go, 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 like skip. And a lot of times I've done it to where I'm like, oh shit, I get there, something happens. I'm like, I didn't read any directions. I didn't read what was said important. I just skipped it because I wanted this to happen, that was very interesting. That was a great lesson in and of itself that I learned. Hey, take your damn time, be patient. It's gonna come if you put in the patience and you put in the work, you put in the effort. But anyways, to the story that happened, I got banned on eBay. That was pretty funny. And back to the conference itself, that was one guy. Les Brown was there. He's one of my favorite inspirational speakers that has breathed life into me many times. He is an extraordinary human being. I'm extremely thankful for him. So, point being, this conference, there was also a guy named Keith Craft there. We ended up going to his church in Dallas, I believe. But this conference became a huge impact, a huge light, a huge spark in my life. I probably didn't know it then. Maybe it was a spark that flew in my fire pit, and then slowly started a fire, which is beautiful. But who was I around during that conference? Who was there? Probably a lot of adults, but what kind of people? What kind of people go to these conferences? What kind of people speak at these conferences? What kind of parents take their kids out? Extremely thankful to go to these conferences. What kind of mindset do you think these people have that were around me? Everybody there was having a growth mindset. Everybody there wanted to become more, give more, do more, create more, become more. That's something that's exciting. That's something that's contagious, electrifying. So those are the type of people that I was around that day. And I feel early on, I realized, wow, being around people like this feels great. I remember leaving there, even though all that eBay stuff happened, even though it's funny story that whatever happened, I just rushed through it. And I remember after that, I stopped too. I just got my account deactivated and I didn't continue going. Even though all that happened, that energy, being around those people motivated me, inspired life into me, that I kept going, that I eventually, the universe, serendipity happened. I had so much blessed events happen and occur one after another. Started reading books, The Alchemist. My friend Spencer Gregory gave that to me. Started meditating. He got me on that as well. He had a mentor that was a college football player, got him meditating. We started eating healthy. I started working out on my own. This was a little bit later, the workout part, but it was a process, right? The more people that I hung around that meditated, that read books, that played college sports, that went to these conferences, the more I became successful in all those areas. So reading, intellectual knowledge, connecting with the self, meditation, spirituality, connecting with self, exploring, trying new things, questioning the status quo. I already went over reading, working out, becoming better, growing stronger, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all the above. Working out, that shit's not easy. That's why not a lot of people do it, right? Not everybody does, I should say. That's a whole nother video on itself, right? And then finally, nutrition. So now I'm becoming more physically, like I'm literally eating better food. My body's becoming a higher vibrating state, a higher charged state, a higher nutritious, satisfied, fulfilled state. However, whatever language makes sense to you. If you want to take more biological or energetic, electronic, right? Whatever food breaks down to in your mind, whatever makes sense. I was becoming greater due to the sum of the people I was hanging around, the knowledge I was taking in, the books I was reading, right? And that is the beauty. This is a whole nother start of the video, a whole nother tangent on the video. I'm trying to keep it generally aligned though. Books, podcasts, videos, audiobooks. That is the beauty that we are blessed with. People have died for this. People want this, have wanted this so bad. We are so blessed that we have what I just named. Those are people that we can input in our lives, that we can hang around, that we can grow from, that we can soak up their knowledge from. Yes, we're not with them in person, but I can still learn from Robert Greene, author of 48 Laws of Power, or the 50th Law, or Laws of Human Nature. I can still learn from Tim Ferriss, author in Austin, Texas, of 4-Hour Workweek, or author of Tools of Titans. I can still learn from Martin Luther King Jr. by watching his speeches. I can still learn from Tony Robbins. I can learn from anybody that I want to due to the internet, books, podcasts, audiobooks, other things, just reading blogs. That is so beautiful because now I have more control over who is becoming my inner circle. Who do I spend time with? Who do I let into my mind? Who do I let into my day, my body, my brain power, my brain space, right? And that is extremely important, as especially in the past 6 months, but ever since this whole culmination of what I've been explaining since 14, 15, I've been blessed with serendipity in my life, serendipitous events of people giving me books, podcasts. Like I've just mentioned, I've met people that have been growth-minded. And you know what's beautiful is that the more growth-minded you become, the more happy you become, the more passionate you become, the more positive, the more loving, the more uplifting, the more it comes right back to you, the more you meet people that are the same way, the more events that just happen for you, the more events you actually go to, the more likely you're going to go to a conference like that and meet people that are like-minded. So you starting the journey of growth by deciding who's in your inner circle will only lead to more growth. Have you ever heard the quote, life supports what life supports? Or life supports what supports life, either way you want to say it. I love that because the more positivity, the more love that you have, the more it's going to come to you. Life will give back what supports more life, right? Love, positivity, creation, saving lives, literally creating life physically, or even like more alchemically creating life out of nothing. So if I create a technology that saves many people's lives, right? Getting into that kind of like sacred science of that way. This allows me to create more life in my own life by doing that. More positivity, more love, more sharing, more joy, more peace, more serenity. That is the beauty of establishing who becomes your inner circle. That is also the responsibility of establishing who is your inner circle. So that's how I've done it in my life since 15, and especially recently, in the past 6 months. This is September. Wow, remember the months. 2020 right now. So 6 months ago, it's been 6 months. It's been an amazing 6 months. In March, since COVID started, I remember, right away I decided, okay, I heard this in a podcast of Ferriss actually and Ryan Holiday. I stole this from them. It was amazing. They said, hey, if you're looking back then, they were thinking like 6 months from then to be over. But if you're looking back a certain amount of time from now, a year, 2 years, 5 years, do you want to look back and think about this time as, oh, this time was stressful, oh, I wasted the time? Or do you want to look back as, man, that time was sacred? So ask yourself right now, how can I look back on this moment, this night, this breath, this night with this person, this journal that I'm doing, and how can I look back as this moment as being sacred? And I love that. And I really reframed my approach to this, and I started a Tony Robbins course. I was watching videos of him every single day. I watched an 8-hour video of Tony Robbins. I finished it in a month. I would watch it every night, part of it whenever I worked out. Not only did I watch it, it was a compilation of a lot of his events. And if you've ever watched any Tony Robbins, you know that he'll tell you to stop, write down this question, answer it, stop, draw this thing, answer it all. And I did every single thing in that video, in that 8 hours. So I learned so much about myself. I did so much journaling, so much self-work, so much introspection that literally transformed me, like shot me up in the air on growth and joy and prosperity and just fulfillment in my own life. And that is the beauty, again, of I controlled, especially during that time, who was in my life. I was around my parents. Again, I am so magically and immensely blessed that I was able to be with my parents and connect with them and enjoy them and love them and grow with them, and my sister and my brother, and I just got to connect and grow with my dad. I feel it right here even now, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that. And my inner circle, I was watching people like Tom Billy, Quest Nutrition, Tony Robbins heavily, Les Brown, Paul Chek, many people on Tony Robbins' podcast that he interviewed. I was just so, and I still am so lucky and so blessed, especially during that period, to control who was in my inner circle, and I still do. I think by now I've established the importance of the inner circle in your life, or in my life, in my experience. Now, building off of that, if you don't already realize why, well, ask yourself, why is it important? Why do people say that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around? Well, whether you want to approach it from an energetic approach, vibration, energetic, whether you want to approach it from just a more like logical, you talk how they're going to talk eventually, you're going to think how they talk eventually, you're going to see the same things, or like a behavioral mirror neuron, whatever makes sense to you, or just approaching it from a general perspective. Hey, who I hang around is who I become, right? All those are saying the same thing, just different ways. Think about a time where maybe there's that one person that someone says, oh, you want to hang out with me and this person, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, no, you don't like that person, you don't like how they are. Think about a time that you felt that way about someone. You just don't vibe with them, you don't like what they're saying, everything they're saying is negative, everything they're saying is annoying, whether it's maybe they're super positive and you find yourself not liking that, or vice versa. Most of the time for me it's been vice versa, but regardless, you don't like this person or you don't vibe with them well. Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think you don't vibe with them? Because when you're with them, you're constantly battling, you're constantly judging what they're saying, you're constantly just disagreeing with what they're saying. Well, think about if you're with that person over and over and over and over, either you're gonna keep confronting, or one side is gonna budge, one side is gonna fold, and then allow the other side to kind of take over that energetic exchange. So I know I've experienced this. Think about a time in your life where, man, I used to do this, I'm so glad I stopped, where maybe you are with that person that you don't like, and then 5 minutes in, for me, I would find myself start liking them and like feeling like discrediting my earlier thoughts and being like, oh man, you know what, I was wrong, he's really cool. And then I noticed I just budged. Maybe I was more negative that day. Maybe I allowed the negativity to creep in. Maybe I allowed their state of being, I allowed myself to match that to get rid of that confrontation. Well, think about if I was around 4 other people that were that way. Unless you have a strong ass will, and this is the part that I'll even venture to say, I still don't really know, and I like leaving it unknown because that's part of life experience for me. If I'm with 4 of the people that are extremely negative, you gotta have a hard ass will, or you gotta get the hell out of that group, because I don't know how long anybody can last in that group, right? If you're constantly surrounded by family members, by community, by people that are just down and down and down, and you wanna be up and shine your light, you're really gonna have to focus or have a certain amount of mission, a certain amount of goal to keep you going, because those people are gonna drag you down, right? And I think it's a law of human nature where we want to fit into the community that we're in. It's a safety thing. We want to be fed, we want to be loved, we want to have shelter. We don't want to get kicked out of the tribe in the plains or in the jungle. And us kind of acclimating to our environment over time is what happens. I mean, have you heard this? How do you kill a frog? By cooking it. If you throw a frog in super hot water, it's going to drop in and jump out right away. But if you throw a frog in room temperature water and heat it up really slowly, extremely slowly, a degree a minute, whatever it is, degree an hour, that frog's not going to notice the amount of change because he's in that environment. And let's say it's dragging him down, right, to his death in this example. He's not going to notice it if it's a degree change. But if he hops in an environment right away, he's going to jump out. And that's the point where we have to jump out. And I know I'm literally jumping around here, but we really have to be cognizant of who we're hanging out with. Think about that time that we mentioned where you're around that person you don't like. Well, now think about a time that you're around someone that maybe you look up to. They've done a lot of things that you look at them as successful in your life, or they're very happy, they're very energetic, very happy-go-lucky, or maybe you're around a group of people. Think about those people that you met that one time where you're like, wow, I remember those people. They were really nice, they were laughing, they were smiling. Think about how it felt to be around them, to be hanging around them. What is your best friend like? What is your mentor like? Do you have a mentor? What are they like? What do you feel like when you're around them? Well, now imagine that person or those people and then being surrounded by 4 of those people, 5 of those people, 6, whatever the number is. What would be that difference in being around those people versus being around other opposite-minded people, the first group that we mentioned? What kind of different outcomes would happen? Would you feel better about yourself? Would more people get help from these situations? What would the conversations be like? What would you be talking about? How would they make you feel? What would they sound like? What would discussion sound like? What would argument sound like? Or discussion, that's even a better way to say it. What would those environments, what would those situations, what would those experiences look like being with those people? That's a totally different question, and that's a totally different answer that comes from that. And that's what I love asking myself is, especially the one where I said, how would this affect other people? How would this help other people? That's what drives me, is being able to shine light and provide a light in other people's lives, because I've had an immense and infinite and continuously infinite amount of light shine in my life by people, God, universe, spirit, nature, experiences, serendipity, books, pocket, all the above, right? How can I provide, even if it's a glimmer of light, but you know what? How can I provide a fucking shine of light on people's lives? That's what motivates me, right? How can I just open the gate and do what has been done to me and have the opportunity to be a vessel to do that by the power gifted through me to God? How can I do that for other people? Hanging around people that are like-minded and leveling me up, whether it's books, whether it's podcasts, whether it's my thoughts, whether it's who I'm actually hanging around with, has literally changed my life and changed millions of other people's lives from time on all the way to now. So ask yourself, what is the importance of hanging around people that will ultimately make you the sum of who you become? Peace.